Throughout Formula 1 history, we've had overrated and underrated drivers. I'm going to give you my top 5 list of my underrated drivers, the drivers on the grid currently, who I think are just not getting enough credit for what they do or deserve a better car. So this is what I think an underrated driver is. For me, an underrated driver is someone who doesn't get enough credit for how good they are performing in inferior cars or team. However, they could already have an excellent car, but they don't get the recognition they deserve for the result they are consistently putting in and for their past performances. And just remember that this is my opinion and what I've concluded from my own experiences and from my own research. And if you don't like it or you can't handle the fact that I think differently to you, leave now. Like, just get out of it, because you're not going to like this. It's just going to offend you. So you can leave now if you're going to be like that. So let's get into it. My top 5 most underrated drivers on the 2024 grid. And we're going to start with Alexander Albon. Alex deserves another chance at a better performing car. He did have a short stint at Red Bull, but was riddled with bad luck and placed in a rather rushed evaluation to determine who Max's teammate was going to be for 2020, which his competitors were Daniel Kvyat and Pierre Gasly, which he did win the seat for 2020, but was followed by a mix of bad luck and relatively mediocre performances compared to his teammate Max Verstappen, because Verstappen, he got onto the podium almost in every single race of that season. Alex did show consistent and strong qualifying results at Red Bull, and when he did qualify poorly, he almost found himself in the exact same position he would have been for occasionally, on many occasions, finding himself back in the top 5, even if he qualified last. He left Red Bull at the end of 2020 as Sergio Perez was on incredible form. Like, that win in Sakia stands out for me. And to see him just dumped in, well, not really dumped, but left in a Williams. I do think Albon should have had another year personally. I think 2021 could have been a good opportunity for him. But what if he was? What if Checo didn't do the work he did for Red Bull in that year? Would have Verstappen lost a championship? Because the amount Sergio did for Verstappen was incredible. Like, would he have held Hamilton up in Abu Dhabi? Would he had the race car off to do that? Would he had the raw speed to actually even be ahead of Hamilton before the pit stop? This is the thing we don't know. It was a right decision, I say, to get rid of Albon at the time, but I do think he deserves another chance in a faster car. But if he won in Austria, he could have stayed there in 2021. In the Austrian Grand Prix, he got punched by Hamilton at turn 3, and that was his race basically. He would have won that thing. He was chasing both Mercedes down. He was rapid on them soft tyres towards the end of the race. He would have won that easily. My number 4 pick might be controversial, but I'm going to go with Nico Hulkenberg. I believe Nico is one of the most underrated drivers on the grid, which is obviously why he's on this list. Nico has never had the fastest car. The best car he's ever driven in is when he subbed in for the Racing Point, both Racing Point drivers, for 2020 when Lance Stroll got COVID, and I believe when Perez got COVID as well. He had a promising junior career with winning the European F3 title in 2008 and taking the GP2 title, which is now F2, the very next year, and found himself in Williams the year after in 2010. So he's done pretty good job for himself there, like going from 1, 2, 3 series, one step after the other, year after year. Now, despite never getting a podium, he has had some challenging teammates throughout his career, like say Perez, Ricciardo, Carlos Sainz, and even Rubens Barrichello, who was in teammates with Michael Schumacher. Sure, Schumacher demolished him. Still, he's still in a Ferrari, still in the best car, and an abundance of experience for Nico to learn upon. These drivers did give him a run for his money, as all 4 of them were a pretty competitive match for Nico, even beating them convincingly at times. And often he decimated some of his other teammates, like say Gutierrez and Jolyon Palmer. That he destroyed them. Sure, they weren't great drivers themselves, but Palmer was an F2 champion as well. So keep that in mind. Since Nico left Renault in 2019, he's been subbing in at the Silverstone-based team, so Aston Martin / Racing Point, and eventually found himself at Haas in 2023, who was partnered with Kevin Magnussen, as we already know, and he's still there, of course. As of far, Hulkenberg has shown to be the better driver of the two, with tripling his points on his teammate last year in 2023, and now looks like he's going to do it again. He's got most of Haas's points once again, and it just looks a lot better. And he's got that Audi seat now. He's gone to Sauber next year, and of course that's going to turn into Audi. So I think that could be quite interesting. That he could definitely perform there. If they can deliver him the car, he could definitely going to do well. He can deliver for sure. If you didn't know, Hulkenberg was actually second in line to go to Mercedes to partner Rosberg in 2013. Say if Lewis rejected the offer like Niki Lauda gave him to say come to Mercedes, he would have gone there instead of Lewis. So imagine he would have been there during the turbo hydraulic era, like the beginning in 2014 as well. And God, imagine the dominance from then. Yeah, he would have won quite a few races probably and would have got many more podiums than he does now. Infinitely more. But it's exciting to see what he can do at Audi. Can Audi deliver a car? They've got a huge budget, which like doesn't really matter anymore because of the cost cap. But can they get something onto that Sauber to make it really go? And can Nico get a podium? At number 3, I have the man from Japan, Yuki Sonoda. I believe Yuki is terribly underrated. In the current season of 2024, he is absolutely smashing. Multiple race winner. Keep that in mind. Multiple race winner, 8-time race winner Ricardo. So with scoring more often than not so far this season. Just look on the Wikipedia, you can see it there. But his first few seasons didn't exactly go well. They were a bit messy with him and like off to lose his temper. You could hear him shouting on the radio. Even in Bahrain in the beginning of 2024, you could hear him like screaming at his engineers saying this isn't right, that isn't right. It's just when something doesn't quite go his way, he just loses his temper, gets really angry. Like it's like gamer rage. It's quite bad for a Formula 1 driver. But he did rack up a good few points, even in his first season with being part of Pierre Gasly. He scored in his first race and it wasn't a slouch at all. Sure, he did crash a bit, but he's a rookie. That's what rookies do in Formula 1. They crash. Like every driver, every champion, every Luca Badoa, every driver who hasn't scored has crashed. But when he gets angry driving the car, it doesn't help. Say, from my own experience, I did some go-karting. You get angry about something and you're just driving, just goes out the window. You just start making mistakes. Everything goes wrong. It doesn't exactly help him. It hurts him more than it helps him. But 2023 was a huge turnaround for Yuki. With literally the slowest car on the grid. He was challenging for points every single race there, 10th, 11th, 10th, 10th. Sure, it was only like 1 point at a time, but it was the worst car on the grid, and he's getting into the top half of the field. Like, that's a pretty good job when his teammate Gasly was struggling at first. Sorry, the freeze, my bad. And as the season went along and the car got better, he didn't fall behind. He only got fastest laps. He kept putting in good results. The results got better. He got P8s, P7s, P9s. He won fastest lap. Even capitalized on sprint races, getting into the top 6 on one of them, which is absolutely incredible when that car at the beginning of the season was the slowest car. But now it feels like Yuki Sonoda is stuck. Still with the same situation like Pierre Gasly was in a few years ago. Sure, like Gasly had to go at the top team at Red Bull, then he got demoted, stuck in Toro Rosso, AlphaTauri, V-Car, get one free, buy one, get one free, whatever you want to call it. Outperforming his machinery and up being given another shot, as obviously Perez has got that extension now at Red Bull, and it may force him to look elsewhere. And could he go to Aston Martin? There's going to be Honda links there with, I believe, in 2026 again, Honda engines, Aston Martin. So that's a possibility if Alonso is still there. Stroll, far chances go Stroll won't go unless other investors get involved. But will Red Bull give him another chance? If he keeps performing and Sergio keeps underperforming, then yeah, he could definitely get a chance. Because we know how Red Bull are, how ruthless they are with their drivers. Just putting them on the guillotine, cut head off after head after head, keep cutting them off, So who knows what could happen with Red Bull. So I wouldn't say Red Bull is off the table for Yuki, but I would say he should look elsewhere for just in case. At number 2, I have a top tier driver, probably the best driver on the grid, and that is Lewis Hamilton. That may surprise some of you very much. Hamilton is the greatest of all time. The stats simply speak for themselves. His junior career was completely and utterly dominant. Look at his Wikipedia page, bro. Like, it's ridiculous. But of course, the bias of the recent times, 2022, this current year, 23, that is a huge bias, and people thinking that he's done. He just disregarding Lewis Hamilton, and that is a very stupid thing to do, I think, because he's still a good driver. He's 39. Alonso has shown, Raikkonen has shown that even Michael Schumacher has shown that you can still go into Formula 1 into your 40s and still be competitive and still give it everything. And well, these are his worst years on record. 2022 is his worst full year on record, finishing 6th. No race wins and no pole positions. The man who has 100 plus of both got nothing that year. And of course, this year's season, 2024, has been even bigger disaster, relatively speaking, that is. He's finished, every race he has finished, he's finished in the points, and in Australia he was challenging 4 points, so he's still there. It's like a strange consistency, but it's not as good as we think Lewis Hamilton would or should be doing. There's absolute zero doubt in my mind that Hamilton is finished, washed, done, or whatever you want to call it, whatever you say nowadays. I do still truly believe that he can still come back and win a championship, and probably won't be with Mercedes, but it would be with Ferrari, obviously, wouldn't it, as he's going there next year or onwards. And the reason for his somewhat slump is because of Mercedes. They're currently on a downward slope. They're nowhere near, absolutely nowhere near the team they used to be. They just seem lost. They keep changing the concept of the car. They had to do this to make this change when that changed, so there's no actual consistency like Red Bull. They've kept the car the same throughout, and they've or won everything there is to win. And of course, Mercedes don't know how to lose. They've been winning, prior to 2022, they've won everything for 7, 8 or 8 years, however long it was. You know, say Russell just beat Hamilton in 2022, you know, all this, all that. But don't forget, Hamilton did sacrifice a lot in 2022 to say, try and figure out the car, what you can do with a setup, develop these things, test things. You know, well, I let Russell do whatever. Because obviously you're going to do that. You're going to make the more experienced guy, the guy who knows what he's, like the 7-time world champion, try and figure out what's wrong with the car, how you can improve it, try things out. Get better feedback. So of course you're going to use a more experienced driver to do that. And in 2023, Lewis convincingly beat Russell. Lewis was faultless in 2023. Like, he did have a few instances, he had collided with in Qatar. Despite that, I don't think there's not much wrong with Lewis this season. Like, he was third in the championship, almost beat Perez. He was challenging him for second in a very, very dominant RB19. Keep that in mind. Like, that is the most dominant car of all time, and he almost beat it in a car that was rather inferior. You know, Lewis has still got it. It's just that Mercedes, this is what I said earlier, Mercedes is the problem. They're not that stable platform for him to develop on, build upon. You know, that's what you need to be a world champion in this sport. Like, it's just how you set up success. Do you think Verstappen did it all on his own? Of course not. You know, if you watch Formula 1, know a single thing about it, you know that you need a whole team behind you. You need the driver to build a team around them to say, I want a car like this, I want things like this. You know, Verstappen didn't win it on his own. He built the team around himself with his dad, of course. His dad as well, that's already part of the team. It's just not himself. And of course, he become the most dominant driver in Formula 1. You know, absolutely lit the history books alight. And F1 is a team sport, and it has always been like that, and will simply always be like that, you know. Like, it's just how that is. You need the car, you need the team behind you to build a good car, to have stability, for it not to rock the boat, because that can cause the driver to lose focus, and you may lose a 10th because of that. But that 10th may, right now, like, looking at how the top 3 is in Formula 1, Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes, McLaren, look how that close they are. A 10th could cost you everything. It could cost you 1st to 6th. And my most underrated driver on the grid of 2024 is the Australian Oscar Piastri. Now, I think Oscar is being slept on. There's so much potential within that young man. Like, he's only 23, I believe. Yeah, 23 years old. Like, not old at all. The start of his rookie season wasn't graced with good results. The McLaren of 2023, early 2023, was terrible. It was absolutely awful. It was probably the 9th or the 2nd slowest car. It was terrible. It was just faster than the AlphaTauri. That's it. Even Lando Norris struggled to get points out of that thing. Like, that thing was so slow. Norris couldn't even get it in the top 12, even challenge for points. But soon around mid-season, Austria, Silverstone time, Silverstone was when Piastri actually got the upgrades. He didn't get left behind by Norris at all. He was up there challenging for the top 5 and podiums. And all of a sudden, he was like in the bottom half of the field, barely scoring any points to his name. And suddenly, challenging for the top 5. Hang on a minute, he got P5 straight away at Silverstone. Second, he had them upgrades on the car. You know, it was clear. You saw in the race before Austria, Norris had them upgrades. He got P4 in that car when Piastri was way, way, way down the field. He wasn't exactly beating Norris constantly, but he was keeping for sure within touching distance of his teammate Lando, and that's pretty good for your rookie season. Lando Norris is not a slap. He's a really good driver. But he can challenge for the championship this year, possibly, if things get a little bit closer. Now, we've seen him win a race now, Lando Norris. Yeah, he was doing really well in his rookie season, Oscar. And I just don't think that gets recognised enough. Now, it wasn't long before he got his first podium and sprint race win for holding off the unstoppable Max Verstappen at the time. Like, obviously, we know that Verstappen, 19 out of 22 races won throughout the whole year. And 2024 has been, for sure, a step up for Piastri. He's even bested Norris on a few occasions, like, say, with his 1-lap pace. His qualifying pace is phenomenal. He's right there with Norris. Say in Monaco, he got to 2nd place, was within a 10th of pole position, and went to go to 2nd place. And even if he got on pole, could he have won the Monaco Grand Prix? Took it from Leclerc. He might have. You know, he was chasing him down the whole race. Now, since he's ever made his debut, he's just hit the ground running. Been battling Norris, even laying his 2nd Grand Prix in Saudi Arabia when the McLaren was awful. I remember this very clearly. He was battling Norris, giving it to him, giving it his proper run for his money. No, he wasn't letting Norris relax at all. He was saying, all right, if you're not going to get the results, I am, get out my way. He was being quite upfront of his intentions, and Norris has obviously stepped up now since then. Putting in incredible performances, having superb consistency in qualifying and the race. There's not much bad about this kid, you know. Well, I say kid, he's older than me. Now, he might not be fast as Lando right now, but I do think he has potential to be world champion one day. Maybe like in a few years' time when he gets faster, but he has a good foundation to build on because he's teammates with Lando, somewhat a semi-experienced driver, not massively experienced, but enough, a good 5 seasons under his belt. And in contrast, when you compare Oscar's and Lando's first few seasons, their first rookie season, Piastri's doing way better compared to Norris, how he was doing. Not only in results, but off the track and how his behaviour is. Now, yeah, sure, Piastri was 22 when he was rookie season, Norris was 19, but, you know, this is what I think, Piastri has shown an abnormal maturity and to be very stoic within his behaviour. On the radio, he just like, sure, alright, calm as anything, calm as a cucumber, does not care. Like, when he was defending off Verstappen at any point, saying Qatar, just didn't care. Like, sure, alright, cool, sounds good, does not sound nervous at all. Very calm, very mature, which of course will help slingshot his trajectory so high in the sky. But could this cause some sort of inter-team battle? Piastri even starts performing a lot better than Norris does. That could get interesting, that could get a bit spicy, you know. He may have to go somewhere else because of that and build his own team around him, because Norris is building McLaren around Lando. You know, doesn't care about Piastri, he's the number 2 in his eyes. He's building McLaren around Lando. So yeah, some probably surprises in this one, but this is just my opinion. You can't deal with that then, it's your problem. But yeah, that's all I've got to say, man. Take care, and let me know if you want to see an overrated drivers video. Bye-bye.